Well, it's official. The flu's got this family. Don't worry, it ain't that flu. It's just regular old influenza A. But it's knocked us out, and fortunately, we've got gold in the treasure chest. So enjoy this little bit of silliness. And Macy's back in this one, and I strongly suggest you hang in to the last 2 minutes. It will delight you, and hopefully we'll see you back here very shortly on Here's a Thing.
This is Backyard Backup, your midweek snack pack of stuff my dad forgot to say last time, and things he thought of since. Have a seat and a slice of watermelon, and enjoy the show.
And welcome to Backyard Backup. This is the appendix to Backyard Roundtable, where we cover a few things. You never know. Who knows what we're going to cover?
Welcome.
And that voice is my lovely and talented co-host, Macy. She's back to provide a little commentary on today's show.
I am, but you also forgot awesome.
Awesome. The one and only. So today, we've got a little bit of a different thing going on. I wanted to kind of give you a little humor, keep it a little bit light today. So today we're going to do a little something, maybe we call it News of the Weird. Ooh. And so I thought we'd talk about a couple of news stories that I found out there that were really goofy or otherwise bizarre, and who better to comment on that and provide color commentary than a teenager?
The goofiest one in the house.
Right. So, where do you think you want to start? You want to start with bear and shark attack, or do you want to start with camels in the road?
I think we need to start with bear and shark attacks.
All right. Well, so a 20-year-old was recently in the news for having the distinction of being attacked by both a bear and a shark within the same year.
The same year?
I mean, is that bad luck, or is this guy making bad choices, or what?
I just think this dude has some bad mojo going on.
Something like that. So, 20 years old, and the first thing was a shark attack, which he got while surfing in Hawaii. And, it wasn't much. Little nibble on the leg. He got 7 stitches.
Oh, come on. That's not such a big deal. Why is it on the news?
Yeah, I know, right? Is that newsworthy?
No, he could have, lost a toe or something.
Seriously. And the bear attack happened a few months later while he was teaching, I don't know if this is ironic or not, but it may be, teaching a wilderness survival class at a camp in Colorado, and he was mauled by a bear and bitten on the head.
And he's still alive.
Still around.
Wait, did you say that he was teaching a wilderness thingy?
Wilderness survival.
Oh, wilderness survival class.
Which, if you think about it, the guy survived a shark attack and a bear attack within the same year. So maybe he's the exact right dude we need teaching wilderness survival.
Yeah, but if you think about it, that's kind of weird because he's out surfing and then he's teaching wilderness survival classes.
Right, which brings up an interesting question. My question is, this dude's 20 years old. I remember when I was 20, I was poor. I was po. I wasn't poor, I was po. And where does a 20-year-old get the money to be surfing in Hawaii one month and bumming around in the mountains of Colorado the next?
I guess mama and daddy have really, a lot of money.
I don't know. You never know. So, that'll take us from the American wilderness to Russian road camels.
Wait, there's camels in Russia?
Well, apparently there was one hiking around on the roads. Multiple motorists recorded video of a runaway camel on the M4 highway near Moscow.
Well, that explains why there's a camel in Russia.
Well, does it?
Well, yeah. It said a runaway camel.
Where did he run away from?
Did he run away from his owner's house?
Or
apartment? Did he live in somebody's apartment?
We'll get to that. So
he lived in somebody's apartment?
No.
Oh my God.
That would be a better story, I think. So witnesses said the recalcitrant dromedary was I'm going to try that again. Hold on. Witnesses said the recalcitrant dromedary was snarling traffic for more than an hour. Actually, no word on whether or not the camel signaled properly when changing lanes. It turns out that he escaped from a traveling circus somewhere in Russia.
Okay, that explains a lot as to why there's an actual camel in Russia, because Russia has no desert, so...
There's a little bit of desert. Russia's a big country.
Yes, it
They got
is.
lots of stuff going on over there.
But I mean, they're up at the top, so it would be more cold there than desert. Like, well, actually, Antarctica is considered a desert because it's snow, so that's like that biome's considered a desert.
You're so smart.
I go to school.
Well,
Stay in school, kids.
So, stay in school and pay attention while you're there. So actually, in similar news, wayward camels have recently been reported wandering the roads of Louisiana and Ohio.
Here's my thought on having exotic animals. One, they do not belong with humans. They belong out in the wild. Like, people that have lions as pets, and then you hear these stories about people getting mauled by their pet lions. Well, of course you're going to get mauled by a pet lion. You're keeping them in a cage that's only 12 feet long and 12 feet wide. Like, they're just cramped. They don't belong.
That'd make you kind of cranky, wouldn't it?
Yes, and also they're animals. They don't think. Well, they do on their animal levels. Yeah. They're not intelligent.
Well, anyway, so the question
way.
that comes to my head is, do the camels know something we don't know? Why are the camels all escaping and wandering the streets?
Maybe Noah's Ark is happening again.
Maybe.
And they're all trying to be the only 2 camels on the ark.
Interesting. It's like a competition. Who can survival of the last 2 camels?
Either that or they're looking for food.
Could be. Reminds me of a time here in our little hometown when we had a wayward goat epidemic. It seemed like every day in the news there was a goat in the road, or a goat jumping off a bridge, or a goat knocking on somebody's back door or something like that. But
I do not remember a goat problem. Was this pre-Macy?
It was pre-Macy.
Oh, man, I wanted to see some goats.
Well, let's move on to real estate.
Oh.
Here's a fun story. Are you looking for that forever home with a really cool backstory? You got $1.9 million to drop? Well, you could set up housekeeping in the iconic abode used for the exterior shots of the 70s classic show, The Brady Bunch, in L.A.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that the show that you were telling me about with the one person who had 3
Here's
boys?
The story of a lovely lady. Yeah. So anyway, that would be. How would you feel about living in a house like that? You know what they say about that house? That
What?
it is they claim that it is the second most photographed home in America behind the White House.
Well, honestly, I mean, just because it was in a show that was so big, I don't think it needs to be 1.9 million. Is it really worth 1.9?
It is in L.A. And you were just there, remember?
Yeah, well, that explains it.
It's a little expensive to live out there. It's actually, I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. I don't know if I'd like a bunch of people walking by my house and taking pictures every day.
Yeah, like, what if you're, like, watering your plants and then somebody's taking a picture of your house and you're like, get off my lawn?
I think at that point you might just get used to it and, like, throw them some deuces or moon them or something like that.
No. Oh, my goodness.
You know, it is unknown if the purchase of the house, known as the second most photographed home in the U.S. after the White House, will include Alice the Maid or Greg Brady's super rad beads. So this might be my favorite story that I found. What's a good news cycle without someone running around in their underwear and somewhere they shouldn't be?
Oh, my gosh.
In Atlanta, my hometown, a 19-year-old man was arrested and charged with criminal trespassing, public indecency, causing damage. Interesting. That's a charge. It seems sort of vague. Causing damage, and obstruction of law enforcement officers after he scaled a 12-foot-high fence topped with barbed wire at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, and wearing only his skivvies, ran across the tarmac, climbed up onto the wing of an airplane.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I don't know how he pulled that off. Full of travelers that had just landed, and ripped open the emergency door.
I'm sorry.
Can you possibly imagine? Can you possibly imagine rolling? You just landed after a long flight, and you're rolling up to the airport, and all of a sudden there's a dude on the wing in his drawers.
Okay, so I would have to say that's just boys. Like, boys are stupid, and they do not listen whatsoever, and they do
Can't
stupid
argue with that.
things. Like, every time I'm texting or talking on the phone with a boy, Dad is like, "You're on the phone with a 16-year-old boy, blah, 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 they're so stupid."
Yeah, I don't want my child dealing with that kind of thing.
Well, I'm going to have to deal with it, so get over it.
Well, my reaction to the young man pulling off feats of amazing athletic ability in his drawers, very Greek gladiator style, is I feel like this dude would make the finals of American Ninja Warrior without breaking a sweat.
He sounds pretty awesome.
I mean, seriously, there's got to be a spot for this guy on the Olympic team somewhere.
The fact that he did it in his underwear is the best part.
I guess. You know, I mean, I admire the guy's enthusiasm, but most of us kind of follow the rules and wait to greet our friends and family at the security exit. But you got to do what you got to do. I guess he was really, really excited to see whoever it was on that plane.
Or he was just on some type of drug. Or he was dared to do it.
All things that boys would do. And finally, we must end the news of the weird in Florida, of course, where kooky is mundane and a traffic jam caused by a driving raccoon is just called Tuesday.
No, you're lying.
I'm telling you, I lived in Florida for the better part of a decade. You live somewhere where the seasons never change and it warps your brain and messes with your biorhythms. It just does weird things to you.
Wait, I'm still stuck on the part of you just said a raccoon driving?
Yeah, he was rolling down I-95 just outside of Miami Beach, and I think he got pulled over because he was texting and driving. But anyway.
Sounds like he doesn't know the rules of the road.
So, our Florida story for the day, Dateline Clearwater, right outside of Tampa. A 67-year-old man was engaged in a heated discussion with his girlfriend. Likely they were debating the pros and cons of Bitcoin and blockchain in a global economy. Or beer sandwiches. I don't know. You pick
What's
which...
a beer sandwich?
Exactly. When the girlfriend attempted to leave before he had finished making his point, after all, I mean, how rude.
That sounds like somebody I know. Dad. Oops.
Well, I don't think I've never done this, and I'm not sure I'd be tempted to. When she tried to get away, to disengage from the discussion, shall we say, he utilized the nearest available device to impede her escape. You want to guess what it was?
Was it a raccoon?
No, that would have been good. A forklift.
Oh, wait. He used a forklift to do what?
Naturally. He used the ersatz human herding device to pin his car, in which the woman who clearly makes sound life choices was sitting, against a nearby bus. He just didn't want her to leave.
Sounds like he didn't take his meds that morning.
I don't know, man. I mean, there's a forklift nearby. What else are you going to do? That makes sense,
Wait,
right?
He was in the car? Where do you put
she was in the car. He got the forklift, shoved the car against the bus, said, "You're not going anywhere until I finish my point."
Whoa. Wait, this dude sounds like he has superhuman strength.
Well, I'm quite sure there's probably not alcohol or drugs involved in that one, but authorities did not disclose if the perpetrator was a licensed forklift operator or merely a heavy equipment hobbyist. We'll close this episode with an installment of what I'll call this week's dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life today of the hour.
Oh, what did I do?
Well, it actually wasn't you this time. Well, this one is guaranteed to make me probably persona non grata in quite a few homes across this fruited plain. I have seen some really dumb crap on TV in my day. Bill Dance fishing, Jim and Tammy Faye, the 2000 presidential election, good grief. I even stumbled upon college fishing and college paintball tournaments. Now imagine the same things that you do in the pond or out at the local industrial park or your paintball park, except it's like Auburn, Georgia, Virginia, and Southern Cal competing in collegiately sanctioned fishing and paintball. I'm down. I love it. Competition, I'm all about it. It just seems a little peculiar to at least put it on TV. But this one might top the list. The Johnsonville Cornhole Championship. Televised competitive cornhole.
You know, I am not a good cornhole player. I've tried it, but I'm terrible at it.
I played cornhole and it was fine for about 7 minutes, and then I wasn't really interested in it. I mean, it's the drunk redneck adult version of toss across. I mean, let's be honest here. It really doesn't take any more skill than the very basic fundamental essence of eye-hand coordination. And, I'm just really not down with watching that on TV. So that will bring us to the end. I mean, seriously, what is the deal? How is that on television? I don't know. They do it, so I guess there's a market out there for it somewhere. I mean,
anybody would put anything on TV.
I guess. George Carlin used to say, you nail two things together that have never been nailed together before, and some schmuck will buy it. Same thing. You put something on TV, and I guess somebody will watch it. What about lawn darts? We put lawn darts on TV. Are we going to watch that? I might. You know what, though? I'm going to bring this in, folks. If you're a cornhole fan, I apologize for offending your sensibilities. I hope you can take this in the humorous spirit that it was intended, and I will tell you this. I like watching curling.
You like watching what?
Curling. You know, it's that Winter Olympic sport where the crazy people are yelling at each other and sweeping the ice with brooms while a big old stone slides down the ice that they're trying to knock something out of the way. It is.
That's called hockey.
No, it's fun. Hockey is figure skating and boxing all rolled into one while slapping
all right, well, I don't think they
hard
want to
piece
hear
of
this
rubber
part.
around. Anyway, so so I'll stipulate that. I'll give you that. You know what? You like cornhole, I like to watch curling. So that'll bring us bring us into port on this episode of The Backup. I appreciate you joining us, and hope you enjoyed my fabulous co-host, Macy. Say goodbye to the folks.
Goodbye.
This would be the time ordinarily when I close out by saying something inspirational, but I'm going to leave you with a little joy and a little laughter. After all, who doesn't love the joyful sound of a child's laughter? And so for your listening enjoyment, I will leave you with a montage of my daughter laughing uncontrollably for an extended period of time as our dog interrupted the podcast. I hope you enjoy. Thanks, y'all.
You sure? Oh, well, Lucy wants to be in the conversation. She just is very talkative. Lucy, come here. Blooper. Hey, girl. Go get mama. Go get mama. Go. She just loves us. She wants to be part of the podcast. This dog, she just needs some TLC. If you would like to adopt a 2-year-old border collie, please call 1-800-ADOPT this crazy dog. Oh, Lucy, be quiet. I just want to eat a Frosty. Frosties. You get them at Wendy's. Go.
How fun was that? All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging in with me through the health struggles. But it's just a little flu. No big deal. So I'll be sitting at this desk in no time at all and cranking out new stuff. I've already got 5 or 6 new episodes written. Just need the stamina to sit here long enough to say them. But you know what to do. Here's the Thing can be found in the Podbean app, iTunes, Apple Podcasts. Here's the Thing at Podbean.com, Google Podcasts, all them other places in the podcast universe. TuneIn, iHeart, Twitter, and Facebook. Holler at me. Drop me a line. Just search for Here's the Thing. You know where to find it. Click the buttons, y'all. We need your support. Always appreciate it. Whatever you're about to do, even if it's with the flu, get after it 100%. Or don't bother everyone else around you. And as always, if you can't be anything else today, be authentic. It'll pay off. Just hang with it. This concludes today's programming. Please resume your day.